You guys might have faced some issues in the last lecture while practicing. So we would be covering those issues in the ending. Let us just start with the today's lecture. And here, before starting off with anything, before starting off with, say, concept of object-oriented programming, let us just cover something that we have left yesterday, that is debugging. What is this and why it is important, right? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to open Eclipse. How we can open Eclipse? It is somewhere over here. So if you are not able to find Eclipse here, no need to worry. What you have to do is that go to the directory where the Eclipse is installed. So it is installed in C drive, program files, Eclipse, Java latest release, Eclipse, and this is the directory. So you need to run this eclipse.exe. In your case, the directory would be different. So while installing, make sure that make a note of the installation, that where it is getting installed, right? You need to know the directory where it is getting installed. Now, over here, it is asking us for the workspace directory. What is that directory? So the directory was this, that is C drive, then batches, then March 2020, and this was the directory. So I'll just copy this directory and I'll provide this path over here for my workspace. Make sure that you're not providing the project path, you just have to provide the workspace path. Now it will take a little bit time for this to open. Once opened, we can start working with it. And is the voice clear now? Just a second. Okay, so over here we have got this, and let me just, okay. So what we're trying to do is, this is our class, car class, which has some information, say price and say name, right? These are the two things that we are having inside it. Now the question is, if we would want to store multiple information, we cannot create this information again and again. So we cannot declare these variables again and again. So what we can do is we can have something with us, say, which would be doing the thing for us. So what we'll do is we'll create objects of it, say object 1, object 2, and then object 3. Now these three would be accessing the same class, right? What's the benefit and why would we would be doing that? So this would be used here, this would be used here, and this would be used here as well. This means that the variables price and name would be provided there as well, right? So price and name and price and name. So how would we be able to create these? Let us just see that. Now to create a object here, what we need to do is we just need to type the class name first. So say the class name is car. Now we need to specify a name here. Say what name I would want to have. So say I would want to have a name as C1, right? So C1 is the object reference. Here we need to create the object now. So to create an object, we just need to type new, then car. So over here, this is done. Now the moment I do this, I would be able to access the variables inside car class. So C1 dot, you can see that name is accessible. Say I would want to specify the name Toyota, right? So Toyota is done. Now I would say I would want to specify the price as well. So C1 dot price, and say the price is say 50,000, right? This is also done. Now I would want to print this data. So system.out.println and say C1 dot name and just a second, and system.out.println and C2 dot price. Sorry, C1 dot price, right? Control F11 and you would be able to work with it, and you can see that this is getting printed, right? As I told you earlier, we would be creating multiple objects. So this is our C1, this is our C2, this is our C3, right? Question is, this has the data. We already have specified the data, and the specified price is 50,000 and it is Toyota, right? I would want to specify the data over here, say 35,000, and it is Suzuki, right? Then over here, I would want to specify, say 45,000, and it should be, say, Ford, right? So over here we have these three brands. Let us just do one thing. Let us just create another object, right? So car C2 equals to new car, right? And this is done. Then C2 dot price equals to, say, the price is 35,000 as we have specified earlier, as discussed earlier. C2 dot name, right? I can juggle these things. So over here, C2 dot name equals to, say, it has the name Suzuki. Did you guys notice something? I've made a mistake. Okay. So over here, let us just create C3. So car C3 and equals to new car, say C3 dot price, and the price is 45,000. This is what we decided, right? Yeah, 45,000, and say C3 dot name equals to Ford. Now, if we notice something, the code is telling me that at line number 12, there is a mismatch, right? So the type of price to string. This means that I've tried to store data type, string type data inside a integer type variable. All I had to do was to rectify this. This has been rectified. Let us just print the data now. And I would be printing the data here. What happened? And this is done. This is C2, C2, this is C3 and C3, right? So this is what data we have. Control F11, it would execute. So Toyota 50,000, Suzuki 35,000, Ford 45,000. This is what is getting printed. Why it is not, say, mixing and matching any data? So the thing is that these are the two variables which are being used, but the memory allocation is different, right? So whenever we create a new object, a specific amount of memory has been booked for this one, then this one, and then this one, right? So these three have their own memory spaces, right? Benefit, these have their own sets of data. Another benefit, it does not have to do with C1 and C3. C2 has nothing to do with C1 and C3, and C1 has nothing to do with C2 and C3. C3 has nothing to do with C1 and C2, right? So the data is completely interdependent. Say it is not dependent anywhere, right? So it is completely independent. Now over here, this means that I can specify anything. I can create any number of objects, right? Yes, we can create any number of objects we would want to create, right? Now, this part is done. Now, the next thing is I would want to have a new field, say number of wheels, right? So integer wheels, right? And this is done. So I have introduced a new field. All we have to do is that add this field over here. So say C1 dot wheels and equals to 4, right? No car can have 5 wheels. All the cars would be having 4 wheels only, right? So say C2 dot wheels equals to 4 again. Then in the ending, C3 dot wheels equals to 4. Now I have just specified number of wheels. The thing is, it is some data. Okay, I've not printed it. Let us just print this as well. So system.out.println and C1 dot wheels. Then system.out.println C2 dot wheels. And in the ending, system.out.println C3 dot wheels. Right, control F11 and you can see that the information is getting printed 444. Every time the same information is getting printed. This means that there is the information can be reused, right? And there is duplicacy of data, right? So now we would be having we are having two different types of data. What are the two different types of data? So the first type is, say, just a second, again it is not working. There is an issue with the big pen. So what are the two different types of data we have? This means that first type is the data which changes from object to, which varies, not changes, varies is a correct word, from object to object, right? On the other hand, we have another type of data as well, which does not, say, remains same across objects, right? So we have got two different types of data. Now the normal type of data, right? The way we have specified this data, right? This is a non-static data. This means that this may vary object to object. Now there is another type of data, for example, wheel. We are just wasting memory, right? Whenever we create an object, say memory space for integer, memory space for string, and then memory space for integer would be locked. In this case, wheel is having some data which is not changing. What we can do is that we can specify something here that would make the data as static, which does not change from object to object. Actually, we won't be able to access it with the help of objects as well, right? So what I'll do is I'll simply specify static before this. This will make the number of wheels static. This means that if I go to test car, it will immediately throw an exception. We won't be able to use it. The error is this, that is static wheels field cars.wheels would be accessed in a static way. We are just trying to access it with the help of an object. Now we can access static data with the help of the class name itself, right? So car.wheels equals to 4 and say car.wheels, right? This is what we want to print now. This means that I can remove this line and I can remove this line because once we have specified this, the data information won't change, right? So I'll just update everything here. Now we are just trying to use a static information, right? So over here, this is done. Let us just try executing this, and before executing it, you can see that it is telling us change wheels to static, right? So over here, the car is not saved. Let us just save this class. The moment we save it, all the errors are gone. Let us just try running this class now, that is test car, and you can see that the same information is getting printed. What is the difference, right? So over here, we had this object, right? And this was being used at multiple places. Say this one, and this one. Okay. The thing was that there was some information which was not changing. Say wheels, right? Apart from this, everything was changing. Say price, then say name, right? This is a varying information. So not to waste space, because say price is consuming 10 MB, right? Just suppose it is not actually, but just suppose that price is consuming 10 MB, name is consuming 50 MB. Then again, number of wheels was consuming 10 MB. For every object, what was the space that we were using earlier? So we were using 70 MB. Then again, 70 MB. And in the same way, 70 MB. Right? Now, as we have specified wheels as static, what is the benefit? We are just using 60 MB of space in each object, right? So 60 MB and say 60 MB. So this is changed, right? We are not wasting space now. Actually, 30 MBs have been saved. If you notice something, right? 30, 10, 10, 10. Only 10 MBs are being used. That is also over here because of it being a static. So we have actually saved 20 MB of memory, right? The benefit is that all the information that we would not want to be changing all the time, we can specify that information as static, and that can be kept as static, right? This means that we can create any number of objects, and this also means that whatever the information is static, that can be accessed directly. Now we just created few things. Now let us just do one thing. Let us just create methods as well. We can create methods as well. How? These are simple. Say I can create a default method as well. What is the default method? That is called as constructor. So constructor. How to create a constructor? This is simple. The name of the method needs to be same as the name of the class, right? So public. Now what is public? Public is an access specifier, right? So public, then the function name, that is the class name itself, right? So this is done. Now we have created a constructor and we can print out something. Say I would want to print welcome, right? So over here, what is the benefit of constructor? Constructor is the first method that gets executed by default whenever the object is being created. Okay. This means that if I run test car now, welcome would be printed 3 times as we are creating object 3 times. This also means that we can create any number of objects. So if I would want to create any number of objects, what I'll do is I'll comment out the whole code and I'll just type in new car again and again, right? So new car A1, right? Then new line, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So welcome would be printed 10 times. You can see that this is getting printed over here. This means that whenever we create a new object, it would be simply executing the default method, right? What if I would want to specify information here? Say I would want to specify that I would want to specify my name here, say Abhishek, right? if I execute it, will it execute? Actually, no. It is telling us that there is a problem. What is the problem? The constructor is not created, but we created the constructor already, right? So now here the concept of parameterized constructor comes in. So public car. Now we need to receive the information. So I can specify the data information type, say string. I can receive the string type information, and this is say user name, right? So I'm receiving username, and here what I'll do is I'll simply print out system.out.println here welcome, comma, say user name, right? So over here it is just printing in data that we would want to print. Control F11 here, the error is gone, and you can see that now it would be printing welcome Abhishek, right? I can allocate this object to any class, right? Say I'll just uncomment this thing and control forward slash. I'll replace this object with this particular object. Okay. Control F11. Welcome Abhishek would be printed once and welcome would be printed twice. This is done, right? Now we can also play around with the objects. Question is how we can do that, right? So to play around with the objects, what we have to do is that we just need to specify the objects to some other place, right? For example, I was working with C1, C2, and C3. What if I just print these once again, but there is a trick. Say C2 is this. What is the trick? Let us just play around with something. Okay. So this is the thing. Now over here, after printing in C3, what I'll do is I'll just specify C1 equals to C3, right? What this will do, then C2 equals to C3. I don't want to print C3 right now. I'll just remove it, right? So according to you, what information would be printed? So if I run this, you can see that Ford is being repeated 3 times. What has happened over here then? So the thing is that the object of C3 was passed on to C1 and object of C3 was passed on to C2 as well. Now what if I make changes to C1 over here? So C3 is here. I won't allocate any object to C3, but I'll just print it again. But C1 dot name, right, equals to over here, say, let us just specify a brand, say Dodge, right? So I have specified a brand over here and say C2 dot price equals to, say it is 50,000, right? I've changed the information. Now I have changed the information on C1 and C2, but we're trying to print information from C3. What would happen? Let us just see that. Now over here, I have changed the information for C1 and C2, but as C1, C2 and C3, all these three were sharing the same object. So the information has changed and C3 is able to access the latest information. This means that we can allocate any object to any reference anytime we would want to, right? We can pass on the object to other object references as well. This is not a hard and fast rule that C1, the object used by C1 was only used by C1 only. No, we can pass on the objects as well, right? So this is how we can do that. Now coming back to Selenium, right? How would we be able to work with, say, Selenium in this case? As we've learned about how to create object, let us just create a new class and I'll name this as Selenium. Basics, right? So over here, I'll click on finish. Now for Selenium Basics, first of all, what we need to do is that we need to add the jars of Selenium that we downloaded in the last lecture. So right click over the project, go to properties, then Java build path, then add external jars in the libraries tab, then add all these jar files. Once done, you can work with it. Click on apply and close. Now we need the main method here. So say main method over here. Now to create an object of Chrome browser, what we have to do is that we just need to type in Chrome driver, say driver equals to new Chrome driver. Done. If I execute this code, what would happen? Let us just see that. Now it is causing us trouble. What it is telling us is that there is an exception in the main thread, illegal state exception. It is just telling us something, that is the path to the driver executable must be set by the webdriver.chrome.driver system property. This means that it is asking us to have something with us. So first of all, let us just create a system property. So it is not system.out.println this time. So system dot set property. What is the key? So the key is webdriver.chrome.driver. But we need to specify the value as well. What would be the value? So we need to have the path of the Selenium WebDriver executable, but we don't have it right now. So let us just head over to the official website of Selenium, that is seleniumhq.org or selenium.dev, right? Then go to downloads and over here, scroll down a bit. So we used to scroll down till this particular point yet, right? If you scroll down a bit more, you would notice that there are some browsers mentioned. So these are the browsers which are supported by Selenium: Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Chrome. So Chrome is the browser that we are trying to use right now. Click on this documentation link. It will take us to this particular page, right? Now over here, just download the save file of the version that you're using. So to cross check the version of Chrome, simply click on this three dots, then go to help, then about Google Chrome. It will let you know that which version of Chrome you're using. So we are using 80.0, right? Go there and download the 80.0, right? And simply download this file. It will take a little bit time. As I'm using Windows, so I have to download this Windows 32-bit file. No need to worry about the 64-bit variant. It will work. Now I have this file with us. Let us just extract it somewhere, right? So C drive, batches. I'll create a new folder over here, say web driver, right? So WebDriver folder has been created there. Let us just go there and check whether we have it or not. So WebDriver, and we have the Chrome driver.exe. All we have to do is that copy this path, right? So over here we have this path. Now after copying this path, paste this path over here. If you notice something, as I'm using the latest version of Eclipse, it is automatically changing these to double forward slashes, sorry, backward slashes. In your case, if you're using the older version of Eclipse, it will show you something like this. No need to worry. All you have to do is that add one more backslash, then you're good to go. This is done. Now I'll run the code now. Control F11 and you'll notice that there is no error. The code is executing and the browser has opened, right? So this is how we can open Chrome browser. This means that we can deal with Firefox browser as well. Question is how, right? So for dealing with Firefox browser, let us just go back to the code and type another command. I'll comment out this particular part. I don't want this part to be executed right now. So say Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver. I'll run this code and you can see that now the error is changed a bit. This time it is asking us for the Firefox browser, whether Firefox binary is there or not. Firefox is installed or not, right? Is Firefox installed? Let us just see that. So Firefox is also not installed in my machine right now. So let us just do one thing. I'll be downloading the Firefox browser in some time. So say get firefox.com. It will take a little bit time for the download. You can simply download and install it in a moment and download. It will just take few more seconds. And the download has started. They've changed the logo. This is what I've noticed right now. And here it is taking a bit time. So in the meantime, to deal with Firefox browser, what we have to do is that we need to have the driver installed as well, right? For having the driver, simply go to the browsers and go to the documentation of Firefox. The drivers are not developed by the Selenium project. Drivers are being developed by the browsers itself, right? So over here, the latest version is somewhere over here. That is 26, right? The minimum version is 60, maximum version is not specified right now. Okay, so we can download this particular version, and these are specifically for say Python, but we can simply use this as well because 3.11 is the version for Selenium Java. 3.14 is the version for Selenium Python. Okay, so over here, scroll down a bit, and here you have the clients, right? And where is the download option? Just a second. Gecko driver releases. Click on here. It will take us here. 0.26 is the latest version. Let us just download this one. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Here there are some assets. We are using Windows 64-bit. Now we need to download the 64-bit version of driver. Right? Once this is downloaded, we can extract it. Firefox is installed. It has opened here. We can work with it. Right? So what I'll do, I'll simply close this browser instance and let us just try executing the code till now. Okay. Browser is here, but it will give us error. The error that is webdriver.jco driver is missing. Right. So let us just create the property here. System dot set property. The key is this. The value needs to be jco driver.exe. Right. So over here, let us just extract to a particular directory in the C drive, batches, WebDriver. Okay, you're done. Go to this WebDriver directory and copy the path for Gecko. Just refresh it once. Okay, it is not picking up the file name. So I'll just copy the file name here and I'll specify the path manually. So the path is same here. I can simply copy this path here as well. It will automatically add double backslashes because for each backslash it adds one backslash. So we need to rectify this issue. This is done. Control F11 now, and you can see that this time Firefox browser would be opening, right? As you can see that Firefox browser is open and we can work with it, right? And let me just close the browser. So we have opened the browser. What's next? We have a method inside this particular Firefox driver or Chrome driver, that is, say how we can access. So we have a method get. We can specify the get method with the URL and what URL we would want to open. Say https www.facebook.com right? I would want to go to facebook.com. Would I be able to open that? Control F11 and let us just try executing this, right? And it will take a little bit time. Once the browser has opened, it will try to open facebook.com. Is it opening? Yes, it is opening. So this has opened the page that we requested. This is about Firefox browser. Let us just comment out the Firefox part and uncomment the Chrome driver part, right? Now control F11 and here Chrome browser is opening. Then here say Facebook is opening. This means that a motive is completed. You would be seeing a lot of these kind of messages, timeout receiving message from renderer and all that stuff. No need to worry about it. These are just the driver logs. You don't have to worry about it. The code is still executing, right? So over here, this part is done. Now there is an assignment. What you guys have to do is that try opening the browsers dynamically. What you have to do, we need to store the data inside a variable. Say what variable? A string type variable, say browser name, which would have the information browser name, say Chrome. If it has the value Chrome, then it should open Chrome browser. If it has the value Firefox, it should open the Firefox browser and it should open the pages as well. So try requesting facebook.com or some other page. Okay. This was for today's lecture. If you have any queries, you can feel free to ask. Any queries, guys?